When I got selected to interview him and get that one-on-one mentoring, I was being a bit cheeky. I was like, there's a few hundred people in this room. There's no way he's going to reject a young entrepreneur.
Hey there guys, I go by the name of Adrian Daniels. This is your first time listening to the Sound of Accra. Welcome. This is the show where we chat with top founders, entrepreneurs and creators from a Ghanaian background or interest, and we leave you with meaningful takeaways that you can apply in life, business and career. Today's guest, I'm sat here with William Adoasi. He is the founder and CEO of Vitae London. Before I get into his bio and we have a conversation with William, just wanted to let you guys know that you can head over to today's show notes by going to thesoundofaccra.com/William. That's WILLIAM. So William Adoasi, of course, is a British-Ghanaian entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, philanthropist, vocalist, fashion designer, who is the founder and CEO of the innovative watch brands, as I've just mentioned, Vitae London. He's also been featured in Forbes 25 leading Black British business people to follow. He's been mentored by Richard Branson, selected as a 2016 Virgin Startup Ambassador, and also Vitae London watches have been sold in over 30 countries, and they provide over 5,000 educational resources to underprivileged children across Sub-Saharan Africa. What a fantastic CV, William, to the show. How you feeling, my bro?
I'm feeling good. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Man, it's great to have you on the show. I mean, you've done a lot. I've heard about you way back 2016, 2017, when I listened to a few of my friends' podcasts, as we discussed before the show started as well. I also like to thank Tevin for the intro of 1,000 Voices. Thank you, Tevin. Appreciate it. And I think I like to do things a little bit different in the show. People like to go in a chronological order, and I like to see where you kind of grow up, and then they kind of fast track to where you are today. But I like to kind of maybe shake things up a little bit. I just want to start off with just kind of going straight into Vitae London. I mean, talk us through the name of Vitae London and how you came up with the name and inspiration behind coming up with the brand. Yeah,
of course. So, the name was inspired by a Latin word, funnily enough. Obviously, Latin is the foundation for a lot of languages, especially across the Western world, and that was the main market we were obviously going to target. Vitae is actually Latin for life, and from the inception of the business, we've always been inspired to make a positive impact and to, in essence, change lives. Hence Vitae. That's where the name stemmed from. London, obviously, where I was born and raised. So Vitae London, in essence, is the origins of the brand name. Okay, got you.
So that's kind of like where the name came from. So because you're raised in London, of course, Vitae Life, you just kind of put it together. You lived your life in London. I think that's a nice kind of name to kind of think of, because different people go through different processes to come up with names.
No doubt.
Yeah, I just love how that little story, how that name came about.
No doubt.
So of course, just how I mentioned in the intro, I mean, you've achieved quite a lot. Congratulations again to all the success you've achieved. You've definitely been inspiration to all of us, just to see, how you've risen up to where you are today.
Thank you.
But of course, to make that success that you achieved, like, it wasn't kind of always easy. So let's talk about through the transition from, of course, you living in the council estates to where you got to Vitae today. What would you say? What would you say life was like when you were living around the council estates, and what was like your upbringing in terms of like your family and all of that stuff?
So in terms of upbringing, I'm firstborn of 7 children. Both my parents are from Ghana. My dad is an Ashanti and an Achin man. He's from 2 places, a place called Koforidua and a place called Asamankasi. So that's my dad's background. My mum is Ada. We're from a village in Ada called Dogo. So that's those are my kind of my real origins, if that makes sense. A couple of years before I was born, parents moved to the UK, moved to South London, South London was all I know. And you ask about my experience in the council estates, and I didn't necessarily see it as a negative experience. There were obviously negative elements to the environment, but I think there was actually a lot of beauty to the environment as well. I think my kind of understanding of community largely stems from both the church and from growing up on the council estate, and being able to, like, I think life has changed a lot now, but when I was young, we were just constantly out, all just together, playing, having a good time. It got a bit trickier when we got older, as you know, with any council estate or any area like that. There are always going to be some kind of problems. There are always going to be some kind of issues. But on the whole, I would say I loved my experience growing up there. I loved. I'm in contact with so many people I grew up with in that same area to this day. So I'm very, very proud of where I've come from, proud of where I grew up. At the age of 11, I actually got a scholarship to go to a boarding school. So that was a real eye-opener. I think that was the first time I actually identified that there were differentiating factors in the world. Like there was like this uneven playing field that I didn't even know existed. So obviously if you're on the estate, it's all you know, so you think this is everything. But going to boarding school was definitely an eye-opening experience, just to be able to see how other people lived, having a good friend, and I'd go to his house, and his mum was like one of the biggest entrepreneurs in Birmingham, and and at home in London there's 9 of us in this like really small apartment, and then I'm here in Birmingham with my friend, and there's 3 of them in this like 10-bedroom mansion. And it's just like just that juxtaposition in my life was super interesting to see. And I think, to be honest, I kind of developed a chip on my shoulder from a young age. And I think once you're exposed to another world, or once you're exposed to the potential, it does inspire you to think, okay, what is possible? So I'm definitely grateful for that experience too. There were negatives of the experience, of course. I remember one time we went to go play a game of rugby, and we ended up losing the game, which was very rare to us. We didn't really field our strongest team because I think we underestimated the opposition. So we lose the game, and then there's an argument that ensues afterwards. And then someone from my team refers to the other team as council estate scum. Because we were just playing a local school. We weren't playing like the prestigious schools we usually play. And I don't think I even reacted at the time. I must have been about 13 or 14. But I think just hearing that, it embedded something in my mind, and I think it further adds to me having that chip on my shoulder, because I was like, they have no clue that I'm competing with them in everything. When it comes to sports, academia, everything, I'm competing with you, but you think because someone's from a council estate that they're lower. And so I think I've always had it in my life that I have a bit of a point to prove, which isn't always positive. It can maybe drive you in the wrong way at times, but I've always had kind of a point to prove. Fast forward, college was spent in London. University, I did a year initially. I quit. I started my first business at the age of 19, which was a sports academy. I just had loads of friends with sporting qualifications that were doing nothing with it. So I rallied them together at first, and then got an office, put ads on Gumtree, brought in loads of other random people who had free time on their hands, and then started selling those services into local schools as after school clubs. So I ran that for 3 years. It was doing well, 6-figure company, but we found a loop where we were encouraging the schools to, in essence, draw funding from the government for us to be able to do these after school clubs, and then the government pulled that funding. So then our business model didn't really make sense anymore. So after that, age around 21, 22, I went back to complete my degree part-time, and then I worked full-time as firstly an insurance broker and then a recruitment consultant. And then in 2016, when I was 26, I decided to quit it all to start a watch company. So that's a quick overview of how I got to Vitae.
I mean, it's pretty incredible that the journey that you've gone on. I mean, I guess it's an unorthodox journey. I mean, typically, first of all, going to boarding school, and I presume most of the people in boarding school are white, and a few of them are black.
For sure.
So again, that's a new experience. And then also, after boarding school, you know, of course, you've gone on to do other things. You know, and then you start your business, and
For sure.
you didn't finish university or whatever it was, and then you went on to start this other business, and then you went on to Vitae London. I mean, you definitely took an unorthodox path to you know, to work or business. I mean, I know, of course, we talked about your upbringing, and of course, you've got Ghanaian parents, I've got Ghanaian parents as well. And, you know, when I went to university, I mean, I took 2 subjects. I wanted to be a music producer, and then I also wanted to kind of do business around it. So I took music technology and I took business management because I wanted to appease my parents with one of those subjects. So I did a dual honors to try and appease them so they don't get, you know, angry. And I'm sure you've had that kind of upbringing where your parents supported you no matter what you decided to do. But it's quite interesting because, you know, people go through university and then everyone just goes through this path in life where everyone just follows the crowd essentially, but you kind of took a detour and you went through this different path. No, I see opportunity. I'm going to take the opportunity and I'm going to start something.
Yeah, I wouldn't say my parents were in favor of it.
Really?
No, they weren't. To be honest, so going through the journey, like there have been parts of me that haven't been fully honest with them. So when I first quit uni, I was getting up and going to my office. They were assuming I was going to uni.
Oh.
It wasn't until I re-enrolled like a couple years later that I was able to break things down to them in terms of structure, how I'm going to finish my degree, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because that was very key to them.
Yeah.
And then also when I started Vitae, my dad was not in favor of it because I was working a good job in the city, doing recruitment, I was making good money. I was pretty good at it, so I was making a lot of good commission as well. So he saw the money I was bringing in, so he was just like, why on earth would you quit this good job to now go and start selling watches? Like, what do you know about watches? Like, he just did not understand, like, he couldn't even comprehend it, you know? So I say all that to say that if you're out there and you've got an idea and you've got a vision, just know that other people may not comprehend it no one knows what's in your mind, and no one knows what's in your heart, and don't take offense to that. Just see that as motivation to build, because as you build, the more you build out the structure, the more the architect and the builders work together and build out the structure, and you're starting to see it, you can visualize what the architect had in mind. So the more I'm building this business out, my parents, anyone else who was a naysayer will now begin to understand more what was in my mind. And the little indications like being mentored by Richard Branson and all these other little things that happen, I think sparked something in my dad, like, okay, he might actually be on a good path. But to be real, at first he was confused. It didn't make any sense to him.
Sometimes you just got to show people your journey and what you're doing, and then once they see you kind of like hitting these milestones, then they wake up and they're like, oh, okay, cool, like he's actually onto something.
No
Let
doubt.
me support him.
No doubt.
Let's stop at watching Richard Branson. I mean, you talked about watches and, you know, how you kind of started the business. Why did you decide to choose watches? I mean, did you have a passion for watches?
It's funny, I was looking through some old Facebook pictures the other day, and I was just looking at my swag when I was younger, like in my teens and stuff like that, and I always had some kind of Casio or G-Shock watch on, no matter what. And I was this nerd for color combinations. So if I was wearing a yellow New Era cap, my G-Shock had to be yellow, or like I've always been a nerd for that kind of thing. So from a young age, I've always loved watches. I've always collected them. I've always been fascinated by them. And to be honest, when I first started Vitae, it was going to be a clothing brand. So I started building that for about 3 to 6 months, built the website, got prototypes. I did all the background work for it. We were 2 seconds literally ready to launch, website's ready. Then I was like, I know 1,000,001 people on this path. And there's still room in the path, people can still excel in it. But I was like, what can I do that's distinctively different? And what can I do that aligns more with what I care about? And watches was, I've always loved watches. So at that point I started researching I started researching on watches. I started, diving deep to understand and to comprehend how I could get into that space. I got the first set of samples in. And then, once I was happy with that design, I enhanced it a little bit better, used some money I saved up to get the first batch of watches in, and the rest is history. So, that's the journey into watches.
Okay. And what would you say you have in what does your watch collection look like today? Like
in terms of my personal watch collection?
What does that look like in terms of maybe like types of watches, maybe the brands, maybe the colors?
To be honest, I'm purely Vitae now.
Okay. Your own goals.
I only really wear my own watches at the moment. I don't know if that's good, bad, if that's arrogant, but personally wear our watches. I've done a lot of designs over the years. We're like six years deep. We usually do at least 2 drops a year minimum. So there's been loads of drops over the years. In more recent years, I've been able to develop a bit more higher end watches. So we've got some automatic watches in the collection. I wear those literally every day now. Those are the watches I draw for. I've got them in different color combinations to match different outfits. So similar to when I was that 13-year-old kid.
It's quite interesting. You mentioned, you just wear your own watches, and I guess because you own your own brand, your own company. I mean, why would you want to wear someone else's? You always want to be an advocate for your own brand.
For sure.
I mean, I like the nice placement you did in your own music video. Let's Get Away. I mean, I really love that song. Very catchy hook.
Thank you very much.
Again, multi-talented, multifaceted person. It does make sense. I mean, if you have your own watch brand, why are you going to wear somebody else's watches? Doesn't make sense. I guess, just the curiosity in me was like, maybe this guy has a little watch collection stacked away somewhere.
Over time, I'm a lover of watches, so I think I do want to get into my own collection over time. I appreciate other designers, and so I definitely will. But as I'm building and I'm grinding, it's purely Vitae.
Let's talk a little bit more about watches. You mentioned automatic watches. For those that aren't really watch savvy, maybe could you talk us through maybe different types of watches out there?
Of course.
Especially maybe in your because you're in the luxury market, right?
So there's different markets for watches. So there's obviously your smartwatches, which is its whole new realm and market. Fitness smart, which would come under smart. Then you could delve into digital watches, which is another area, and then analog watches, which are your classic watches. And within analog, there's there's totally different realms within it. You've got your high-end luxury, you've got your Audemars, you've got your Rolexes, you've got the watches that range from minimum 5 to 10k upwards. So you say that those would be high-end. And then you have your middle range watches, and our automatic watches would probably come under that kind of vein. So you've got high-end, middle range. We're verging between high-end and middle with our automatic watches. And then you've got fashion watches. High-end, middle range, fashion. And then within fashion, there's there's low-end fashion watches, which are like £30, £40. And then there's higher-end fashion watches, which are like £200 to £500, for instance. So we would classify ourselves either high-end fashion for our standard collections, or middle to high-end premium for our premium collections. That's like the different classifications of watches.
Thank you. Thank you for that quick breakdown. I think it's always nice to learn, kind of like how the watch market works, and where each watch kind of sits in the market. I mean there's so many watches out. So many. Apple Watch, Casio, we've talked about Rolex. No, so many watches out there. So it's always good to learn where each of them sits in the market. I know when you first started your company, you took funds that you'd saved from working. What was that like? Taking that leap of faith, saving up thousands of pounds to put into your own watch brand, and then you put everything on the line. I heard maybe it was even some of your own savings between you and your wife to put all in the line on one company. What was that like, taking that leap of faith? Taking that leap of faith was very interesting. Was very, very interesting. Luckily my partner at the time was for it, was happy for me to take that leap. I was working in sales, so I'd stacked up a lot of money.
from doing that. I say a lot of money. It felt like a lot to me at the time, but it was only around, our initial capital was around £7,000, £8,000.
Okay, it's quite modest.
So yeah, I stacked up that money, and for me, I think my mindset has always been why not, as opposed to looking at the concerns or the issues, or my mindset has always been why not. So I kind of approach it with the mindset that I genuinely believe my designs are better or as good as a lot of people in the market. I genuinely believe the fact that we give back gives us an edge. I genuinely believe I can produce with higher end materials as well than our competitors at similar price point. So if I'm giving back, the product quality is better, the design is better, and it's a similar price point, why would it not work? That was my mindset. Of course, there's hindrances. As you start the journey, you realize why it could not work. You realize the difficulties. But I think there's beauty in the naivety in the early stages of building the business. So at that point, I didn't really see it as being brave. Often people, when I meet them or talk to them and tell them my journey, they're like, "You're brave," blah blah blah. I just saw it as worst case scenario. This goes all belly up, I'll go get another job, I'll save money up again. I would have lost a bit of time, but I would have gained loads of experience. So I just try to approach new opportunities with that mindset.
I love the mindset, especially of course, like I've got friends that they start businesses or they want to start business, but what holds them back, maybe they're married, they've got kids, and then for them there's a lot more on the line. But for you, it's quite applaudable that you took that step, and you know, you got the approval from your wife, and you did that, and then of course, you know, the gamble's paid off, because you know, of course, recently I've heard you've crossed over $1 million in sales. So well done, congratulations.
Thank you.
And then let's talk about work Richard Branson. So of course you put in $7,000 of your own money into this watch brand, and you got some prototypes through, and then you start to kind of like get a collection through. In what role did Virgin Startups play in terms of the next step in your journey?
Yeah, so I think it was year one. We applied to get some like a startup loan from Virgin. So I think about 10,000 people applied, and they gave the loan out to 1,000 people. So after the 7,000, that was our next bit of money, was 24K that we got from them. And so that really helped us get in more stock, scale things, boost things in different areas. And that was beautiful. And then out of the 1,000 people that received funding, they wanted to choose 12 to become Virgin Startup Ambassadors. So in essence, ambassadors for entrepreneurship in the UK, encouraging more people to run startups, and then obviously pointing them towards Virgin if they wanted to get loans or any capital. Out of the 1,000, thankfully I was chosen as one of 12 to become ambassadors. And then as part of that, we got to meet Richard Branson. We went to his house in Oxford. Not Neck Island, no? No.
Would you have wished for that?
Of course, 100%. If he calls me today to come Neck, I'll go run it. But yeah, we went to see his house in Oxford, which was still mind-blowing. Like, you drive past the gate, you know you're on his compound, but you're driving for ages before you even see the first property.
Stop it.
And then you see one, then you see another.
That's insane.
And I think he even just took us to some converted barn that he just made look incredible.
Just for fun.
We had breakfast with him, met him for the first time. And then out of the 12, they chose 2 people to get some one-on-one mentoring with him.
Nice. And
to also interview him. And I was chosen as one of the 2. So that was my journey with kind of connecting with Richard Branson. On stage, when I met him the first time, I really wanted to give him a watch. But there was like security around, there was this whole entourage around. There was 12 of us, we all got to speak to him, but we didn't really get dedicated time like I would have hoped for. So, and then the day ended quicker than I thought it would. So I didn't get to give him a watch. So when I got selected to interview him and get that one-on-one mentoring, I was being a bit cheeky. I was like, there's a few hundred people in this room. There's no way he's going to reject a young entrepreneur giving him a product in front of all these people. So I was like, I got one on him. So I'm interviewing him. I'm like, actually, I've got a watch for you. So I pop it out. I give it to him. But I don't know how. I don't know how he did it. To this day, it still baffles me, to be honest. But I think he had come with the intention to buy one of my watches anyway.
Yeah.
So after I had pulled that stunt, he was like, I actually know how much your watches cost. So here's a wad of cash.
Oh, wow.
Because he was like, entrepreneurs should never give away their best assets for free. I'm like, okay, all right. So he gave me a wad of cash.
Yeah.
And then he took off his personal watch and was like, hold this, you can auction it or whatever you want to do with it.
He gave you his own watch.
His own personal watch.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay.
Speechless.
Thanks. So to this day, that watch is in my house right now.
So that's in your collection?
Yeah, that's in my collection. I could have spoken about that earlier.
That's okay. That's something special. That's a special moment. That's
100%.
something you hold dear to your heart.
100%. So yeah, that's there. And I think the biggest learning I got from that whole experience was his genius mind, especially when it comes to PR.
Yeah.
He's always looking for opportunities of PR. Like he's always looking for them, creating them. Like this thing I thought I was using, he used it. The next day, I was front page on the Virgin website. There was a whole article from him about how he met a young entrepreneur and that exchange between us. And I just thought it was powerful that, he was able to create a moment out of that.
Brilliant. That's absolutely amazing. I mean, Richard Branson is, of course, he's up there, right? And when you get to meet him and have a one-on-one with him and be an ambassador for his company, I guess it doesn't really get better than that. Okay. And what did that do for your business, William? I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on Virgin. There's so much I want to get through. What did that do for you, apart from maybe receiving some funds from Virgin? After that meeting with Virgin or that affiliation with Virgin, what did that do for Vitae?
Yeah, I think that was our first major marker of credibility.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because from 2016, 2017, the business was very, very fresh.
Yeah.
But being affiliated with someone like Richard Branson, and then a few other celebrities came with time as well.
Yeah.
But being affiliated with someone of that nature, it just gave us a credibility beyond our years.
Yeah.
So even to this day, people are like, how many years is Vitae in? They think it's been around for 10, 15, maybe longer. But it's being able to partner with people who are more long-standing, who do have more credibility than you may have at the time, helps to establish you. And I think we went viral when that first happened. Again, which obviously helps to boost your reach, your audience, etc., etc. It was an incredible experience. It was definitely something that changed the trajectory of our business for good. The money was good, but I think the credibility, the PR, the awareness was probably even greater than the funds.
That's amazing. So it was definitely worth getting involved with Virgin.
100%.
There's a common theme I've noticed in this conversation, William. You have this boldness, this inner ability to just I want to say take risks, but calculated risks. I also remember, the story about you meeting Romelu Lukaku. So maybe you can share that with the audience because I love that story. And that it just sums up kind of a part of who you are. Just this boldness and this willing to take risks in a society where people want to be safe. They want to be risk averse. They just want to get their paycheck and just get on with life and be very kind of safe and comfortable. Where does this come from? Where do you think this comes from?
I'm not entirely sure of the root.
Yeah.
In a weird way, I don't see myself the way other people may see me. I don't see myself as particularly bold or brave or particularly... At times I think I should be more brave. I think I should be more courageous for sure. And I don't know, I think I just think of things really pragmatically, which kind of removes the courage and the brave. I don't think I'm ridiculously brave for quitting my job.
Yeah.
Because pragmatically thinking, if everything, as I said, goes belly up, I can get another job. Yeah. So others would see that as a risk, but I would see not taking the opportunity and trying to start the business as a greater risk than staying in a job I'm not particularly passionate about. Ooh. If that makes sense. So for me, what I see, I think I just view risks and danger a bit differently.
Yeah.
I saw that as more dangerous.
Yeah.
So it was actually less of a risk to start my business. If when you look at it like that.
Yeah.
Sounds mad, but when you look at it like that. That's just how I approach things. I think I could be more courageous. I think I could be more bold. I think I could be even more in people's faces. There is an element of like shyness. I have extrovert tendencies, but I'm probably more of an introvert. So yeah, there's elements of all of that when in the build up and makeup of myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just genuinely think I look at risks and dangers a bit differently.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. I mean, someone who found out about what you're doing would say, "Why are you doing that?" And then you'll turn around and say, "Why not?" You understand?
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing.
Literally.
I definitely hear what you're coming from. But I mean, it's definitely. I mean, you do say you're more of an introvert, but I mean, there is definitely the extrovert side to you. I mean, of course, you've gone on to meet other celebrities. It's helped endorse with Pharrell, Romelu Lukaku, and other celebrities, and also that side of you has also helped you to do other things. I mean, it's actually wonderful, this characteristic, this trait that you have. And I just want to go on and talk about some other things as well. So before you got to Vitae, I mean, there was other bits. So you talked. Okay, I think there's other businesses that you ran before that. And of course, when you worked in your recruitment and sales, that was another stint as well. Would you say that those skill sets that you developed in sales recruitment helped you with your business, with approaching people?
10 million %. I think working in a sales job is one of the greatest things you can do if you want to go down the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
Because if you're building a business, you're in essence, there's so many elements of selling that people don't think about. You're selling to customers, great, that's one aspect. You're selling to individuals to come on board and work for a business that maybe doesn't have much capital, doesn't have much money. You're selling a vision to them. You're then in the future selling a vision to investors to put money into the company. Even working with maybe a particular accountant, you need to sell that you're the kind of business they would want to work with. I believe sales is integral to business, full stop. It's the exchange, it's the selling, which is key for a business to thrive and keep going. So I think working in recruitment, and in essence within recruitment, I feel like you're building a business within a business. You need to build out your desk, get your clients, get your customers. You're literally building a business. And I think that experience and also the confidence I took from it was key for me to build Vitae. Like, I would just sit there and think, I'm making all this money for these people. Like, I have the ability to generate this level of income. Yeah. So even if I just generate a fraction of that, I'm going to be good. Like, I'm actually going to be able to survive. So again, it stems to the why not again. Why not go for it if the evidence has shown I can generate this level of income?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think all that experience 1000% shaped me into the person I am today.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do like what you said, that if it didn't work out, you can just go back to a job. That's it. And that's a skill set that is going to be with you of life, honestly.
No doubt.
And it usually sells as something that's looked down on people as a dirty word, but it's something that can take you to so many different places. It can open so many doors because of the characteristic of the skill set.
Sales isn't everything. Even when you're a guy and you meet a girl you like, you're selling what you can bring. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know the word sales sounds dirty, I get it, but it's synonymous with convincing and promoting, and there's so many other words that tie into it. But yeah, I think it's integral to so many aspects of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like with dating as well. I mean, it's like you're closing as a person, but you know what I mean? And that's what Grant Cardone would say, something like that. You're dating someone, it's like a few meetings, and then once you get to marry you, it's closing that deal. And
so, if you think like that, it's actually powerful when you're building your business. And I think sometimes people market and then they expect people to just buy their product straight away, but they don't realize that there's touch points. They might need to go on your Instagram, then visit your website. After visiting your website, they might need to go and look at some reviews, and it's all touch points before you clinch the deal. Same with a girl, you might need to take her to the bar and then take her for dinner, and it's all touch points that push you forward towards that end goal. I don't know what your end goal might be with that girl, but I'm just saying towards whatever end goal that may be.
It's so true, man.
So yeah, life is funny. I just think it all intertwines and connects in some way.
Yeah, it's so true. And this is a perfect segue back to Vitae. So of course, like, it's an online store, and then you also have maybe pop-ups here and there.
Yeah, we have pop-ups here and there seasonally. We were about to establish a store in central London before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then we decided to double down again on online and then look into retail. And then, thankfully, after our retail focus and selling into retailers, we've been able to be stocked in the 2 largest US retailers. So we're in...
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're in Nordstrom and Macy's.
I love Macy's.
Yeah. We're in like over 40 stores out in America now, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look out for it in Macy's. And
Awesome.
I mean, it's been well overdue. I need to pick up a model myself. I mean, my birthday was a few days ago. So
happy birthday.
I was on your website looking at the models. So maybe you can recommend me a model.
No stress.
When the interview finishes.
No
Thank
stress.
you so much.
No stress.
And yeah, so I mean, of course, so you have so I think COVID probably was a blessing for a lot of people, especially those that had online businesses and products as well. Do you think that helped to drive sales even more because more people are online at home?
Definitely. I definitely feel like it helped to drive sales. And also, I think with everyone being at home and stewing over things, I think a lot of social issues came to the forefront. A lot of things that if you're waking up every day, just rushing to work, rushing home, you don't have the time to really think about it. Yeah. And I think that's why there was so much power around the Black Lives Matter movement at the time, and all these different movements came to the forefront because people really got to sit down and actually listen to what was going on and understand the world we were in. So I think we benefited from people being at home and wanting to purchase online for sure. And I also think with our social impact element, with the fact that we're a black-owned business, with all these other elements, and all of these topics coming to the forefront, I think that also worked to our benefit too. People being conscious and actually thinking about their purchases enable them to be pointed in our direction. So that's how I would position that.
Great. And in terms of purchasing the watch, I think one great thing about Vitae London is the social mission as well that's attached with it. And what I really love what you're doing in terms of giving the percentage of the profits back to the Sub-Saharan Africa, the kids in the schools, etc., etc. Do you think that is an important driver for sales because people are able to attach meaning to when they're purchasing the products?
100%. I think the fact that we give back is beautiful in terms of seeing the impact. I love that. I really do love it. But again, looking pragmatically, even from a business perspective, it makes business sense because yes, although we do lose out on some profit, one, it gives me and my team bigger drive because there's a deeper purpose for what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing, etc. So I think that's one key driver I would 100% say I feel. And also, like a lot of the celebrities we've worked with, the influencers, the incredible people that have a similar heart to us that want to see an impact across Sub-Saharan Africa, I don't think we would have got access to them without the fact that we give back.
True.
The heart of our company and the core of our company resonated with the heart and core of these individuals, and due to that alignment we could have partnership. But I think outside of that alignment, we're just another watch brand. There's no drive, there's less alignment between us and those individuals. So I would say it's phenomenal that we get to make the impact, and I just pray we can continue to do that for many, many more years to come. But on top of that, it makes business sense. It actually helps to support the growth of the business and differentiate us in the market. I love that side of your business. I mean, I've seen people like Akon doing Akon Lighting Africa, and that's a great initiative as well. Did this come about by accident, or did you actually think this through when putting the pieces of the watch together, no pun intended, for you to be able to stand out in the watch market because it's quite competitive? I think from a business perspective, if I'm completely honest, I was looking at USPs, ways we could stand out, ways we could be different. But more importantly, for me, I was working a job in the city, as I said, that I wasn't particularly passionate about. And I knew I had to have a give back element in my company. Otherwise, I knew my passion would wane. I knew, like, no matter what, if there isn't something greater than yourself driving you, it's harder to get up in the morning and keep going. So, from a bit of a selfish perspective, I wanted to give back so that I could always have that motivation to keep going. Also, my mum's from a bit of a wealthier background. My granddad on my mum's side was an entrepreneur. Did really well. But my dad's side comes from a poorer background. And yeah, he often narrated the difficulties he faced in getting an education. Unfortunately, a lot of his siblings have passed away due to different things, especially the ones that didn't get to get an education. But he was one. I think him and one other were the only ones that were able to. And his life and his trajectory is so different from the rest of his family due to him getting that education. And I think, looking at my dad's story, I wanted to replicate what my dad had done in many more people across Sub-Saharan Africa. It's the one region in the world where poverty has increased in the past 25 years. And it's also the region in the world with the lowest amount of young people in primary school education. So I think there's a direct correlation between the two. So I just wanted to build a business that stood in the gap and that did what one of my dad's uncles did for him. I want to be able to do that for more young people.
That's so powerful. I mean, it's so powerful what you're doing. I mean, and I can appreciate totally what you're doing. I mean, I also went to school in Ghana for 3 years, and I've been able to see over the years, and not even just when I went to school in Ghana, what education did for people. I mean, education, people take it for granted here in the West, right?
Of course.
But when Ghana, like, literally, it can be the difference between poverty and wealth. I mean, even my father, like, he used to, before he got to where he is today, he's doing really well in Ghana, and he used to talk to me about how he used to study under a lantern in northern part of Ghana just to pass exams and stuff. No electricity, no nothing. Really studied really hard, and he was the difference between wealth and poverty. You understand? But over here, people take it for privilege. So for you making those difference in those kids' lives, brother, I really applaud what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
I really applaud what you're doing, and hopefully maybe in the future we can discuss how the Sound of Accra podcast can collaborate and help you guys.
No doubt.
I know there's other organizations like Pencils of Promise. They're doing something similar as well.
Yeah, they're doing amazing things.
Fantastic, brother, what you're doing. You're not alone, and we want to support you as a community.
Thank you so much.
Honam Naturals Organic Vegan Skincare. An advanced botanical blend. Regenerate your skin with long-lasting moisture. Shop now at honamnaturals.com.
Thank you.
Talk us through some of the watch models. So you have different watch models, and some of them you have like names which are quite they're quite sentimental and important to you.
Of course.
Like for example, I think you have one called Ada. Right?
Yes. So all the watches have significant names. So all of our earlier models are named after the first region we started supporting children through.
Wow.
In South Africa actually is where we started our work. So in an area called Port Elizabeth, there's a place called Klein School and there's a place called Walmer. Those are like townships within Port Elizabeth. So our first ever collections were named Walmer and Klein School. As time's gone on and we've supported other regions, we've got a ring called the Chefru ring, which is named after a place in Kumasi, where we supported children with solar lamps. We've now got a watch called Ada, obviously named after where my mum's from. And
wonderful.
The beauty of Ada is that there's loads of different islands. It's beautiful, but it also presents the problem of electricity. So now when I go to Ada, we get to go on a boat and distribute these solar lamps to young people in the region. One of our most latest collections is the Elmington collection. That one's different from all the others in terms of the naming convention, because it's actually named after the council estate I grew up on.
Wonderful.
So I grew up on Elmington Estate, Southampton Way, so literally merged between Campbell and Peckham. And for me, I wanted to create a watch named after my estate, because with that watch you can remove the bezel and the straps. So one day your watch could be gold, the next day silver, the next day rose gold, etc.
Love that.
So for me, I wanted to create a watch that had no limits, to kind of emphasize to people from my council estate, from my background, that even though others place limits on us, there are no limits. So that was the origins of that collection.
Very powerful. This just naming process that you have for your watches.
No doubt.
Very, very powerful. I mean, there is a name for each watch. That's amazing. When people put on that watch, there's even more significance.
100%.
Not just giving back to kids in Africa. There's so much more than that. And
yeah, and for me, it's just it's life is surreal at times.
Yeah.
I went to Macy's in New York, so it's like the largest store in the world.
Yeah.
So I walk in, I go and see our watches, and I'm looking at the Elmington watch, and I'm just thinking, it's just strange to me that I wouldn't say I put my city on the map, but it's like, yeah, my council estate has now got representation across the whole of America.
Amazing.
If you think about it, because of all the stores that the watches are in.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's beautiful what we've been able to do and hopefully continue to do.
And do you feel like when we talked earlier about you growing up in a council estate and then you being bullied in school because you came from a council estate, when you look at this recent achievement you just made at Macy's, is part of that kind of that, you kind of being happy about you having this collection in Macy's,
for sure,
regarding the Elmington name, is part of that kind of like helping you to kind of get over what you went through in the past?
I wasn't necessarily bullied with that experience. It was more so they were trying to insult someone else, but then I caught a stray bullet because this is where I'm from. It's the council estate. But I think in terms of the chip on my shoulder, like I can hold my chest high, if you know what I mean, knowing that in spite of what everyone has said, we've been able to put our council estate name in the largest store in the world. I think that alone is a beautiful statement that I'm able to say, but I don't think I'll ever lose the chip on my shoulder fully. And I don't want to lose it. I think the minute I lose it, I'll lose my edge. And I just think I'm super early in the journey. A lot of businesses fail after this point, like 5 years, 6 years. And I'm not going to turn around and say it's been easy. I'm not going to turn around and say it is easy. But I'm loving the journey, and I just want to keep building to higher heights. So I don't really have time to dwell on it and call my old secondary school people and be like, haha, I told you. Like I really don't have the time to dwell on that energy. But at the same time, I do like to refer to it and think of it so I can still go to the next level, because I'm not content yet. I'm far from content. I'm delighted with some of the indications towards contentment and some of the things we have achieved, but I wouldn't say that I am content yet. We've got so much more to do.
Where does that come from, you just not being content?
I think it comes from the need to do more, to provide for more people, to support more people. And I think, again, back to being young and being exposed to the other world, I just know I've achieved a lot, but I haven't achieved a lot at the same time. There's so much more to achieve. So that's where I would say the discontentment comes from.
Yeah, and we did talk about earlier on, limitless, no limits, having no limits. So of course, there's always going to be another level. When you think you've reached a level, there's always going to be another level that you can get to.
Facts.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned in one of the videos that you put out, five things you've learned as a CEO, and there's one thing that you mentioned in terms of this entitlement characteristic. Could you talk a bit about that?
Of course. I think across our generation, and I would say and younger as well, millennials, Gen Z, I think there is sometimes a nature of entitlement that can creep in, and I don't want to talk for everyone. I don't want to label our whole generation as that. That's maybe too extreme, but I can definitely speak for myself and say that when I started the business, there were maybe some elements of entitlement. I felt like, just because I started a watch brand, like, why are you not buying my watches? Or like, there was just elements of that, and then it just dawned on me one day that no one owes me anything. Like, genuinely, no one owes me a thing. Like, even my siblings, my cousins, they've woken up, they've taken that shower, they've put on their clothes, marched themselves to work. I have no entitlement over what they do with that money. They've worked hard for it. So I think the minute I dropped entitlement and the expectation that people had to support, that people had to buy into what I'm building, it was beautiful because not only did it push me to work harder, because I felt like I had to earn the right for them to buy my watches. It pushed me to increase the quality of the products, our output, our drive. It pushed me in all those ways. It pushed me, and also it enabled me to be more grateful. Because if you're entitled and your brother buys a watch, you're like, yeah, you were meant to do that anyway. Your brother started a business, you were meant to support me.
Yeah.
Whereas if you drop entitlement and then your brother buys a watch, it's like, whoa, you could have bought any watch in the world.
Yeah.
You could have bought any watch in the world. You've decided to support and buy my watch for various different reasons. I'm really grateful for that. So I think that dropping entitlement really does switch the mindset, and it pushes you to work harder and dive deeper and do more.
Absolutely. William, this has been a powerful conversation. There's so many nuggets and gems that you've dropped, and just hearing what you've gone through and hearing your success and where you're going to, it's really applaudable. So again, well done to you, brother, for everything you've done. So there's a customary question I like to ask my guests. So I know you recently you relocated to Ghana as well. So what is the sound of Accra to you? So when it comes to the word Accra, what words, vibes, thoughts, feelings come to mind?
When you said the sound of Accra, firstly I just thought of chickens in the morning. Like I'm trying to sleep and these guys are shouting the house, like shouting the whole area down.
Yeah.
So I think for me that's the initial sound.
Yeah.
And for me, Accra is a feeling. It's that sense of belonging, that sense of home, the sense of feeling like I'm royalty whenever I land. It's more of a feeling than a sound. But yeah, the instant sound I think is just the busyness, the hecticness, the beauty that is our home. That is Accra.
Beautiful. And any final thoughts and tips to people or aspiring entrepreneurs that want to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, just start. That's the tip I would give. I always give that tip. Just get started. I think a lot of people, they dwell on ideas so long that they end up doing nothing. Whereas if you can just do something small, like incremental steps every single day, before you know it, you would have reached that goal that you were trying to reach. So I would just encourage people to literally just start. That's my word of encouragement to people.
That's a fantastic tip. I've heard it goes, you get started, get good, and then get smart kind of thing.
100%. But you got to get started first.
Absolutely. Any announcements you want to make to the audience?
Yeah. Everyone who's listened to this podcast can actually save 30% on our site. We'd love to give it. We usually limit these discounts, so it'll be for the first 10 people who use the code The Sound of Accra 30. Okay. So The Sound of Accra 30. If you stick that in on vitaelondon.com, you'll be able to get 30% for the first 10 people.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for our listeners, William. And where can everyone find you and follow with Vitae London, of course? Yeah, so Vitae London is spelled Vitae London, and you can find that across all social media with that literal handle. And then I'm the same. I'm uniform across all social media with my full name, William, followed by Adoasi, Adoasi. So yeah, hit me up. I'm really active on Twitter, so yeah, if you got any questions, just drop me a tweet. And yeah, we'll take it from there. Oh, you're very active on Twitter. That's sure.
Maybe too active at times.
That's great. No, it's great. It's great. So yeah, William, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. So there you have it, guys. William Adoasi, CEO and founder of Vitae London. This is another episode of the Sound of Accra podcast. Just to let you guys know, for today's show notes, head over to thesoundofaccra.com/William. That's WILLIAM. We'll have all the references, the links, and even the special promo code that William has kindly arranged for you listeners to grab a watch like he's wearing today. And that's it. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Cheers.